Paul Graham from Optimal Body Personal Training. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the pros and cons of intermittent fasting. This has been a hot topic over the last few years. I see a lot of different things out there, from misinformation to confusion around this. So in this video, I'm going to try to simplify things, go through some of the main pros, some of the main cons, as well as common misinformation that's out there. So first, the pros. It's really simple. So one of the things that a lot of people tend to struggle with is they get bogged down with all the different rules and confusion around eating. So there's different types of intermittent fasting, but most of them have pretty simple rules of don't eat between the hours of this and this. So that helps in terms of consistency with someone actually implementing that consistently. Second thing is food quantities. Often with plans with intermittent fasting, it gets people eating a lot more food. And so one of the things we found over the years when working with clients who are trying to lose weight, they often don't eat enough food, which leads to them binging. And so getting out of control with their eating because they're trying to decrease calories too much. Often with the intermittent fasting, people go through that long stretch where they're not eating and they're focused around not eating at all. And then they're able to have much larger food quantities. So if they're getting enough whole foods, then this can be a positive thing and help some people with overindulging or overeating or binge eating. The next pro is less food prep time. So it takes a lot of time to prep food and you have to be organized. If you're eating less frequently or less often, this can make life easier in terms of just having to prepare less. Most people, when they're doing intermittent fasting, like I said earlier, have larger meals, so you have to prepare less of them. Finally, there's some research that indicates it might help with insulin resistance as well as inflammation. So as you can see, there's quite a few pros towards intermittent fasting. These are just a few of the main ones. There's lots of other ones you could come up with. What about cons? Well, there's quite a few of those as well. Earlier, I had said it could help some people with their binge eating, but it can also have the opposite effect and actually increase your chances of binging on food. Because if you're going for prolonged periods of time, for some people, they'll find that makes them want to overeat even more. It can also create problems with some people because it's going to cause more of a bad relationship with food. So we found a lot of clients have struggles with looking at foods as just simple good foods or bad foods, and they have a lot of guilt and shame around eating bad foods. So with intermittent fasting and the challenges that go around for some people with binge eating, it can create even more of a problem with that relationship with food. Hormones. I've seen some things that indicate there can be some challenges, especially for women, around hormones and weight loss in intermittent fasting. So I know from firsthand, I've seen a lot of clients who are females and they've tried intermittent fasting and they're finding they're actually having problems and maybe even gaining weight. So there's some negative things potentially around that. Again, everybody's going to react differently though. Another potential thing that a lot of people don't talk about is the potential to develop habits of overeating. So with intermittent fasting, if you're going prolonged periods without eating, like we said earlier, you tend to eat larger amounts of food, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But a lot of people will use it for a period of time as a diet to lose weight. Then they go back to eating more frequently, and their body has gotten accustomed towards eating larger amounts of food. So they might be carrying that habit back into their regular eating pattern if they switch back to that. Another one is potentially for muscle loss. So if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to lose some muscle. Odds are extremely high. It's almost impossible not to. You want to try to lose as little muscle as possible. With intermittent fasting, because you're going a prolonged period of time without getting any protein into your body, this can create maybe potentially higher risks of losing more lean muscle. With protein, you want to get it consistently throughout the day when you're eating. So with intermittent fasting, that's going to be a lot more challenging. So if you are using that strategy, I'd make sure you're getting enough lean protein or lots of lean protein throughout the times you are eating. And finally, I've seen lots of research, much like most diets out there, that doesn't show intermittent fasting is anything special that creates faster results or better results than any of the other alternatives that are used to control calories. Next, I'll talk about a few of the misconceptions I see out there around intermittent fasting. First is to understand, just like any plan to lose weight, it gets you into a calorie deficit if it's causing you to lose weight. Their strategy to get you there is to not eat for prolonged periods of time, but at the end of the day, it still is revolving around reducing how much you're eating. A misconception out there is that if you do intermittent fasting, you will lose weight. It is not guaranteed that you're going to have this happen. I've had lots of clients come in who started following intermittent fasting and weren't losing weight. It is possible to remain in a calorie balance and not lose weight or not gain weight with intermittent fasting. It's possible to do intermittent fasting and gain weight. It's possible to do intermittent fasting and lose weight. It's not a guarantee just because you follow a protocol of intermittent fasting that you're going to lose weight. Another misconception I see is oftentimes when people follow a diet like this, they think that will make them healthy. I want to make sure that you understand it's really important to still be getting lots of whole foods, to being some type of balance in your diet with fats, carbs, protein, fiber, fruits, vegetables, lots of healthy food as well. You can't just start doing intermittent fasting and expect that to make you healthier. You need to be having other important components going along with your diet. Finally, the last misconception is around science. So often I see people who are pro-fasting talk about research proves fasting resets your immune system, or research proves fasting causes you to lose weight, fasting causes you to reset your metabolism, or all sorts of different things. It's important to understand oftentimes there's research done on fasting and the article doesn't prove that. It indicates that there might be a possibility that could happen, as well as there's all these different factors. So in the research, were they fasting for 24 hours, 72 hours? Was the research done with animals? Was it done with humans? Was it a controlled study? There's so many different factors, and oftentimes people will draw conclusions based on the research as though it's factual, as opposed to in this specific circumstances, research indicated this might be true. So be very careful when people are saying that science proves something. Oftentimes people seem to use that when there's a study or two that indicates that may be happening or might not be happening as well. So hopefully I've given you a kind of an overview of the pros, the cons, misconceptions out there around intermittent fasting. I've tried to keep the video pretty short. There's lots of other information out there. But if you have any more questions or need clarity, just comment below and I'll be happy to answer those for you.